Feeling stuck or unfulfilled? Searching for more meaning in your work and life? Wondering what's next? You're not alone, and you're in the right place. This is Focus on Why, the podcast that turns reflection into action. I'm Amy Rowlandson, and each week I dive deep with guests who've chosen to live and work with purpose. Together we explore what drives them, shapes their decisions, and gives their life meaning. Through real stories and honest conversations, you'll discover how to gain clarity, make confident choices, and create a life that truly matters. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we dive in, do you need help creating a more purposeful way of life? Through one-to-one coaching, I can help you clarify your why and create a plan that aligns your values with your work. Book a free 30-minute discovery call with me today. The booking link is in the show notes. Today, on Focus on Why, I am joined by Mosongo Moukwa. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for having me on your show. I'm looking forward to a conversation.
I am too, and we were very kindly introduced to one another by Joel Salomon, a previous guest on the show. So thank you to Joel.
Yes, yes, indeed.
So, Mosongo, what is it that you are focusing on right now?
Well, Amy, I work with small business owners. I help them to uncover additional revenue, strengthen profitability, and reclaim their time so that they could focus on really what they master most without compromising their purpose or value. So my strategy is really centered on reigniting purpose, strengthening business strategies, and empowering them so that they could align growth with their value, protect profitability, and put some systems that's going to help them run a sustainable business. Through this work, I help leaders create businesses that support both their dreams and their legacy. That's what I do, and the reason I do that is really trying to address the biggest challenges that small business owners face, which are that they are all looking for financial independence, they are looking to leave a legacy for their children, and spend time with loved ones. But the reality is that they are not achieving those. They keep working, 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 but there are so many factors at play, and the stagnation that they experience is only symptom of something else because that overwhelmed, so they find themselves overwhelmed with cash flow, competition, turnover, and over time their passion fades and is being replaced by self-doubt and worried. So what I find what happens is that there is a fear of failure which starts to set in. So many small business owners, they're afraid of failing and they become conservative, no risk, miss opportunity. They become afraid because they've already put in so much investment. Then you have self-doubt. So many small business owners, they struggle with that feeling. Questioning is sometimes if they truly deserve that achievement. So this can prevent them from taking bold steps. They don't want to take time off, afraid that they will perhaps harm their business, so they become stressed. No quality time with family, which is a key component actually of their goal. Right? That's one of the reasons why actually they started their own business. Then you have lack of clarity and focus, and as you know, without clarity and focus, it's very difficult for them to achieve long-term goals, because with the daily distractions of running the business, they can't really focus on strategic growth on themselves, so they are in that reactive mode. And particularly if they're in a business with a very tight margin, you can imagine that pressure on them. So that's what it is. And then you have isolation and lack of support. Running a small business can be a lonely proposition. You feel isolated in your own struggle. Sometimes your spouse or partner doesn't even know exactly what you're going through. And then this leads to what? This leads to emotional exhaustion and lack of motivation. And then most of them, frankly, they lack access to mentors or advisor and coaches. I mean, they are there, but they don't always make that step to go and reach out. And those are the people who can actually provide that support and make their life easier for them, to navigate those challenges. So those psychological pains, they are tremendous. So initially, it is painful, but then they start getting used living in that space and feeling comfortable with it and justifying their situation without actually addressing the challenges and pains. So what I find and in my work and what I do is that I try to help them reignite their passion. I find that if they go back to their purpose, to why actually they're in that business, that really will energize them. And then we can then work on their strategies. And then at the end, we'll try to bring all of that together by helping them thrive in all cylinders, by having the purpose, the strategy, and life in full alignment. So that's what I do, Amy. That's what I do.
Do you know, I absolutely love when I ask that question, Mosongo, because obviously the passion and the purpose gets ignited when people are so aligned with their work. And you've just proved to me that a simple question leads to such depth of an answer. So thank you for sharing this purpose gap that you are addressing with your work between the intention and the impact, and how you've identified and shared just how that can go so wrong for many factors for these small business owners. Explain to me, please, how this has become your area of focus.
Yeah, that actually my story, Amy. I work in corporate for a long time. I took senior roles. I was in a way at the apex of my corporate career because I was vice president at SC Johnson, global responsibility, global teams, and so on. But then I was always pulled with the idea that of starting something on my own. And so for years I was pulled, between that corporate life and entrepreneurship. So chasing security, but I was always craving meaning. I could have stayed comfortable, safe, but I was building someone else's dream. So at some point, I could not stand it anymore. So I broke free from those like I call golden shackles, and I jumped. So I jumped actually without parachute, without really knowing whether I was going to fall on my feet. So at that time, then I started. My first venture was a consulting group. So initially, it went well with two solid clients, but then that was 2007 or so. That was the financial crisis, the subprime mortgage crisis, and everything collapsed. And I lost a great deal of money and so on. So I had actually two roads to follow. I could quit, or I could switch gear. So should I quit? Probably. Could I quit? No. My deep sense of purpose and the legacy of, in a way, resilience instilled by my family just did not allow me. So there was that powerful desire to create something meaningful and personal, something I could call my own. So corporate success was fulfilling. I got a tremendous opportunity. In fact, each time I wanted to leave, the carrot became gotten bigger. So, but it was not enough to satisfy the need to leave a legacy that really aligned with my purpose. And in those early days, I also felt very lonely and anxious, particularly I had the small children. I mean, small, they were actually college age, and the pressure to succeed was just weighing heavily there. So what if this does not work? And then gradually I came to realize that clarity of purpose and a strong foundation was actually essential for building something sustainable. So that realization became the cornerstone actually of what I share with my clients. So that's what they did. Just to tell you a story, years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I returned to the neighborhood where I grew up, I expected perhaps, to get a great deal of nostalgia and so on. I reached there. The roads looked smaller than what I remember, but I could hear the laughter. The neighbors whom I've not seen for many years. They came greeting me warmly and so on. Those are people with far less than I'd accumulated. So for years, I chased life as if it was somewhat of a steady climb. Another degree, another title, another project, another overseas assignment, and another success. But from the outside, looks like progress. A ladder, rising rung by rung, higher and higher. But standing there, I realized actually how flimsy the ladder was. Yeah, because progress without purpose is just like a height without ground beneath, in a way. Yeah? So it cannot bear, all the challenges of life and so on. So in that moment, I find myself asking, had these ranks, degrees, title, venture brought me any closer to the life I truly wanted? So for me, the question then shifted. It was no longer what makes me happy, but how should I live my life? I realized that life is not meant to be climbed like a ladder, It's meant to be like a tree, rooted, drawing nourishment from deep inside soul, branching in many directions, offering shade and so on. So that's what I came to realize, and yet many small business owners and for me at the time, the picture of the good life was not that of a tree. It was more of a luxury, a nice house, the travel, in the visible trophy that you can display because you are awarded in some conferences, and so on. And so it was really that vision of life that I had, So I realized that you can spend years accumulating wealth and access, but really we never asked the question what those open doors, were meant to lead to. So it became like almost like a emotion without destination, So that's really what the kind of thinking that I went through. And because once you even achieve all of that, you ask yourself, you say, is this it? So then at some point, the question shifted for me. Became, how do I get what I want? No, not really that question, but another one that became, what is truly worth building my life and my business around? So that has been, in a way, my trajectory, Amy.
And this shift and redefining of what success means for you,
Hmm.
Mosongo,
Hmm.
what is it that you are truly building your life around? What is worth you doing that?
Yes, yeah. This is a good question, Amy, and for that, let me, if I may, Amy, I'll tell you a story. I came to North America in 1982 via Canada. I landed in Detroit, Michigan, but then really I crossed Detroit River there, and then went to a small town called Windsor, Ontario. There are those moments in life that that really stop you in your track, and then you're saying, what just happened, So one of those moments came to me driving through this town, Windsor, Ontario. I was heading to Windsor, Ontario, to meet a former client of mine, John. He was a small business owner. We worked in the past. And then as I was driving there, my eyes caught a small building there on Lakeshore Drive. Actually, it was a small room there that I was renting when I first came to North America. I could feel the emotion. As I'm telling even the story, I could even vividly see the picture. Very small building, white, just right there by the river, and whatnot. But then at that time when I reached there, it was 1980s. That was the economic recession. Jobs were just difficult to find by. I could not even find work as a dishwasher, to tell you. So fear was always my companion. And then you are wondering there, man, I've landed in this country. They gave me permanent residency, but my saving was dwindling. There was no job there, and so those were really darker days there. But then at the restaurant, when I met this former client of mine, John, he greeted me warmly, and he told me, he said, everything, every time you think that you're building security, something happens to take it away. That's what he said, and I still remember. So those words echoed, that kind of that entrepreneur, we are really vulnerable. But then he also spoke about how grateful he was, for my guidance that helped him overcome adversity and stay true to his vision. And so his honesty really moved me very deeply. But then in that moment, it all came together. So that building I saw there in this small town, Windsor, Ontario, was not just a reminder of my past. It was, in a way, a symbol of how far I had come. John's story were not just encouragement; they were a reflection of the power of purpose. I realized my journey was not just about success; it was really about legacy. So the dream I once held, I used to have a dream back in the 80s of building a home, a house for my mother, so that dream actually planted a seed that grew into something far bigger, which was helping others discover their potential and step into their own purpose. So, purpose, I was reminded that is not something we invent. It is something actually we uncover. It's written into our being, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting to be revealed, through trial, triumph, and sometimes simple things like a building, a conversation, or a meal with someone. They can touch, the deepest part of us, and then remind us of why we do what we do. So that's really what my purpose is, Amy.
And did you build that home, that house for your mother?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, I was about to do that, and fortunately, she passed.
Oh,
While I was in Canada there and whatnot, she had a severe asthma attack. Unfortunately, people could not find that small gadget there to help her, and
oh.
she passed. And each time I write something, I always remember her in my writing. So that's what it was. But that was something that fueled me for a long time.
So that dream that was planted, that seed that you planted grew into something far bigger,
Hmm. Hmm.
helping others to discover their potential
Yes.
and step into their own purpose. I hear you, I understand. You said that you came to North America via Canada in 1982. Where were you coming from?
Yeah, I finished my bachelor degree in Belgium at that time. I always dreamt, always dreamt of going to Canada. Nobody can explain. My siblings, they remember even when I was in high school, I used to mention Canada. So, and then I went to the Canadian embassy. Told them, well, I wanted to move to Canada, but as a permanent resident. They first asked me, you want to go as a student? I said, no, I'm planning to go there as a permanent resident. I was told that Canada is a country of immigrants, and that's where I go. So they told me, well, we that's not how the procedure goes, and so on. Since you're French speaking, you should go to the delegation, to the Quebec delegation, because they have a separate immigration protocol. So I went to the to the French Canadian, to the Quebecois delegation there. The fellow told me, well, sir, we don't think we need really somebody with your background and whatnot. So why don't you wait in a few years and reapply? So I argued with them back and forth and so on. I went home. And then after a few weeks, I went back to the Canadian embassy. The fellow recognized me there and said, yeah, you were here a few weeks back. I said, yes, yes, I'm back. Maybe things have changed. So I'm still applying for the same thing. So I told him, well, why don't you fill up this form? And so on. So I filled up the forms and so on. And then I left. Now I'm thinking, I said, wow, these people, they're just wasting my time, filling up the form and all that. I mean, what is this? And then about a few months later, I got this big envelope from the Canadian embassy and left it on my table. I was so afraid to open it because I was expecting these people to reject my application. But then eventually I opened, congratulations, you have been admitted in Canada as they used to call it landed immigrant, which was a permanent residency and so on. You need to enter the country within, I don't know, 6 months or so. Yeah, it was December, so I needed to enter there before June. So and so on. So that's how I got in there, Amy. Yes.
And it's so interesting, isn't it? This following a dream, pursuing it, to honor something that you believed in, even though you were told that's not how the procedure goes, you honored what was meaningful to you. So even this story of the pursuing of being in a country that you had a passion and a resonance and a feeling, this is where I'm meant to be. And yeah, well done. And by the way, no big envelopes tend to be bad news. They tend to be the ones with more to follow. You get rejection
Yes,
in the
yes.
simple, smaller envelopes.
Yes, Paul Ambrose is probably a no, sir. Thank you very much, and so on. But what I've learned also, Amy, is that there is a powerful synergy between dreams and purpose. Dreams, they are very powerful. They ignite your creativity, they fuel your ambition, they propel you to action. But dreams alone are not enough. Purpose is what actually sustains us, I find. So, because dream may spark that fire, but the purpose keeps the flame alive. Purpose is probably the steady light that will guide you through those nights. The in a way, it's the anchor that could hold you through challenges of life.
I agree. Reflection without action is simply dreaming. It's not, you're not following through. And reflection is where the why is uncovered, as you said. It's where you see the meaning in your intention. But without the taking of the action, which is where the purpose is set in motion, then nothing happens. So
Yes,
you are now serving the self that was your person from years ago. Your target clients are
yes,
who Mosongo was
yes,
before. So you know
yes,
this target well.
yes, 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 yes,
I say target, I'm not, your clients, your choice of
yes,
who you serve.
yes, 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 absolutely. Because what they're going through, I've lived it. So I'm coming from a position where I could share my own experience through my own journey. From the time I landed in North America through what I've done. I did very well in corporate and whatnot, reaching vice president for global organization and so on. And then I decided to start something on my own, and I lost lots of money there because the first investment that I did to run that consulting group was just wiped out when that financial crisis came in. So much so that I remember my wife and I will be having dinner there. There was just this silence there. It's like almost like silence was heavier than words. So and then people would say, well, why did you drop everything? Or other people say, you are strong, to have made that move and so on. And then I'm thinking, I said, oh man, how did I get here? And so on. And then eventually by being persistent and then learning, putting my own ego to the side and seeking help and so on, I was able to recover. And but it was also a journey of personal growth, through all of that.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so beautiful around the topic of purpose is that it does encourage this journey of personal growth. And as you just said, putting the ego aside, because it's about how you show up and how you serve others in terms of what the value is that you bring to the table. And even when you feel like you haven't got anything, you have a wealth at your fingertips because the experience is what is in value here.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And also what I find is that in a way purpose is not fixed in a way. It can evolve with time. Perhaps early in the entrepreneurial journey, the question could be, what do I want? And then the answer may be concrete. I want to revenue, market, and so on. But as years pass, then another question comes: is what I want worth wanting? So the goal that used to fuel that ambition can begin to feel thin. So more revenue, more reach, more influence, but then you have the fulfillment that begin to press. That this growth honor my value. Does it create this flourishing life? Not only for me, but for those that are being touched by my work. So that's what it is. But one has to recognize that drift, because it comes very slowly, and it's like a bit like this boat, moving away from the shore. So it moves slowly, and the values becoming to blur, at the edges, and then by the time you notice, you're already deep in the sea there. But that drift is not final. One can return, but that requires a kind of a deliberate act of re-anchoring, a conscious effort to reset, to reset your bearing and then align again with your true north.
And these metaphors that you've used have been really strong for me to really embed the importance around what you're sharing. That ladder, that flimsy ladder that was one that you'd been climbing rung by rung higher and higher, and you called it a steady climb, but it was a height without ground. And again, now you've got this ship which is drifting away into the depths of the nothingness, the void of the deep sea. But it's a case of you can come back, you can
Yes,
anchor
yes, yeah, you
yourself
can indeed.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, you can
this
indeed.
reframing of what is it that is worth wanting, again, it centers around the worth piece again for you. What are your values that you use to anchor what is of value?
Yeah, my value is service to other, service to community, respect your word. So they're very simple values. Nobody has harmed you. Why you want to harm other people? So always be kind with others. And I value human connection, because then you can learn from others. You can learn from their stories. There is this book with I think it was Applebaum. One of those guys was saying that when you meet someone, it's like almost like providence. It was meant to be on your path. So that value of openness, or openness to others, openness to ideas, and so on. So these are those values that have helped me, even during my time at the corporate. The reason I was very successful there is because I was known there to be effective in building organization, but building organization around human connection, not a type of leadership that is transactional, but a leadership that is really touching people's mind and heart. So because of that, then I was able to create those very effective organization, and then I begin to be sought out by within the company and also outside, because then people say, "Oh, Mosongo is one fellow who can pull all those people who seems to be disconnected together." So that's really what it is.
And creating this version of meaningful success for you,
Mm-hmm.
has it become enough for you to leave and live as a legacy?
Yeah, I think so, but I think also that it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process, because each time you are doing you're taking an action, you have to peel the layers, to ask yourself why, and then why, and why, and then uncover and see really, is what I'm doing here, does it reflect my value? Is it something that ultimately is taking me to this a life that I really wanted? So it's a continuous process, and I encourage people to continue to do that. It's not a one time action. It's an ongoing process. That's what I find, and that's what I do, Amy.
I hear you, and it's so aligned your thinking to what I share in my work. And that is, for me, one of the reasons why we were meant to meet and be on one another's path and to share this journey with each other. What for you is the providence of being introduced to one another?
Oh, this is a deep question. In a sense that I've discovered. I mean, through your questions, you force me to reflect about myself, to reflect about myself, and then I discovered there is this connection with you in at somewhat of a deeper level, in terms of more on the why, on reflecting about our own fulfillment. So this meeting here today, that's what it does for me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity for that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And when we are deeply connected to our why, that emotional significance that drives a purpose, the meaning behind our everyday action. For me, that is what fuels my everyday decision making, my everyday understanding, is knowing what it can be to be misaligned, to not be living and working in alignment with your purpose. I've seen and I've lived what that is when you're swept into the expectations and aspirations of others, to be in burnout, to be frustrated and not feeling this gratitude of each moment, not recognizing that this moment is a teaching moment. The difference being that when you are aligned and you are connected to that emotional significance, then I shine a light on what's possible with that focus on why. It's on what's possible to be achieved when you're completely aligned. So I understand that connection. For you, understanding more about your emotional significance of what's driving you, what does that give you?
Well, it gives me what I've learned is that really fulfillment is not a finish line. It's more of it's a rhythm of return. A practice of checking our true north as opportunities expand, and complexity increase. So that really guides us, but only if we choose to follow the direction. Every entrepreneur knows that the emptiness that can follow achievement. The goal is met, but the numbers are great, but yet the joy is missing. So profit sustains survival, but it cannot nourish the soul. The meaning runs deeper. They are really, in a sense, how can I say? Each day carries its own test. Did what I do today matter? Who did I truly show up for? Does this moment fit the larger story I want my life to tell? Am I still moving in the direction that truly that feel true? And I think when one peels back goals again and again, like I try to do, then the surface ambition, if you will, then gives way to something richer. So grow revenue becomes freedom. Expanding market share becomes influence. Recognition becomes legacy. So what begins as what almost conceals a why, I would say. Cultivating that, it's not about discovering that once. It's about returning to it and peeling back layers again, as talking about the tree as season changes, and letting new roots to be revealed. So that's really what it is here. I remember I was in a conference many years ago, and there was this speaker who described what he called brown out. No, not full burnout, but the quiet fading of purpose, the erosion of why. So it's what really struck me, like in a way, like a mirror. I realized that you cannot build a business without ever asking what story it was meant to tell. Profit keeps the door open, but it doesn't necessarily keep your soul alive. So that's what I've learned in my own journey, Amy.
Wow, that is beautiful. And it's interesting that you just mentioned about profit and the door being open, because the question that you asked earlier was, what were those open doors meant to lead to? And again, you've come full cycle to that just now. And in terms of, what is the door that you're opening leading to right now?
Well, opportunities for other people, for them to be themselves, for them to develop. As I'm growing my business here, I'm giving people opportunities. I mean, those who are my collaborators. So there is an opportunity for us there to be creative as a team. people I'm hiring, an opportunity for them perhaps to get a side hustle. Opportunity for me to contribute to the community. I'm looking forward to at some point to have a series of documentary on small business owners. So that the profit per se is giving these opportunities to various individual and collaborator, but it's also giving me tremendous fulfillment by doing so.
Yeah, I love that. And my goodness, we could speak for a lot more than we have time for, Mosongo, because everything I'm asking, you have beautiful responses to. And so thank you so much for sharing
No,
your
thank you.
focus on why.
It's been great. You have asked a very I enjoy the way you're putting those questions. Actually, picking up from the conversation and then asking a very deep question, for the other person to in turn, it's like we build like that kind of a rhythm during this conversation, which which uh,
Yeah.
which uh, which I appreciate and I'm grateful.
And rhythm of return is likely to be the episode title for you, because I love the rhythm that has been created here, and it is a rhythm of return. So yes,
Yes,
here we
yes,
go.
yes, yes, yes.
Masongo, how would people reach out and connect with you? I know it will be in the show notes, but just point them in the right direction right now, please.
Yeah. People will connect with me obviously on LinkedIn. They can also connect with me through my website, mosongomukwa.coach, Mosongo Moukwa in one word, .coach. So that's one way for them to connect with me. And for those who are your listener out there who are small business owners, because you have been so gracious to give me this platform to share my thoughts, I'm actually offering 7 complimentary session, one-on-one session, complimentary, where I will talk to them about strategies about their business, and they can use whatever knowledge I'm imparting there if it makes sense to them. That's complimentary. It's up to them, but as a show of gratitude, that's something I'm offering to some of your listeners out there.
Oh, well, that's incredibly generous. And I hope that
But if they do, please mention Amy Rollinson so that I know actually that this request came through Amy's podcast.
well, thank you. It's very generous. And I really hope that people take you up on an opportunity to have a conversation with you, because from this one conversation, there has been so much wealth within it. So thank you again for coming on the show. Do you have some final words, please?
Yes, I would say, Amy, that at the end of the day, the entrepreneurial journey is more than the pursuit of success. I believe is a testament to the resilience of purpose and the power of dreams. I would tell the people out there that your path may have taken unexpected turns, and your spark may feel a bit dimmed by all the challenges you are facing. Yet, the essence of why you began remains with you, waiting to be rediscovered. So, by reconnecting with your dreams and your purpose and grounding yourself in purpose, you are not merely reignited your passion, but you are reclaiming the vision that first set you set your heart ablaze. So, as you move forward, remember that small, intentional steps today can create profound transformation tomorrow. So, cultivate an environment that reflect your authentic self. Nurture your purpose with care. Fuel your dreams with curiosity and let your value guide your action. In doing so, you won't just build a thriving business, but you will craft a meaningful legacy.
That's a wrap for today, but the journey doesn't have to end here. Please share your takeaways, leave a review, or post your insights. Your voice helps others discover the value of these stories. Want to dive deeper into purpose? Check the show notes for ways to work with me, to get a copy of my book, or to sign up for Friday Focus, my weekly newsletter packed with clarity and inspiration. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.